Hello and welcome to the Arena Sealed League set evaluation for Neon Dynasty. They return to Kamigawa, but it's in the future. I'm SpaghettiMitch,
I'm Goldie.
and we're just going to go over the cards, but first we're going to explain the grading scale that we're going to use here. And this grading scale, of course, we haven't played with the cards yet. The set is about to be released, so these are subject to change. We might get a couple things wrong, like Traveling Minister, a little bit.
Traveling Minister Award.
What will be the new
Yeah,
Traveling Minister?
yeah. I haven't
So
seen many of these cards yet either, too. So it's gonna be. I always like seeing them and going from nothing. So
yeah, we're gonna be recording this like during over the course of a little time. So by the end of our set review, by the end of the last video, we're gonna know the cards a lot better than we do now. Right? We're going in blind now, basically, and just giving our thoughts before having played with them. That being said, our grading scale, the A's, as you can see on screen here, are absolute bombs and the top cards in limited. Game-winning card if unanswered, and helpful even when answered. The B range are happy to play many of these in your deck as you can. They're cards that are typically pulling you towards the color and the archetype when you're drafting and building your deck. The C range are the most frequent range of cards that you'll be playing with. These define your deck, and they're typically, though they work best if you can find synergy to help maximize them. The D range are cards you should be reluctant to play, but you can expect to see them make the cut once in a while. And F, don't play these. They're mostly made for constructed decks.
sometimes we'll also give a sideboard grade to a card, which might be really bad just straight up. But if you're playing, especially best of three, or in the league, really good in certain matchups. And there's also build around grades that we sometimes give that a card without any support is pretty bad on its own, but might be really sweet if you add some stuff to it.
Yeah, so Bill and I have been playing in the Arena Sealed League on, well, it's hosted in a Discord server. A whole bunch of us are in it. I think the current league is the last few leagues have been right around 100 people. Most people watching this video are going to be part of it, so you'll know about it, but Bill will just explain a little bit how it works.
Yeah, so Arena Sealed League is a sort of online plays on arena sealed league in which lasts basically 6 weeks, and you play a set amount of matches per week. It's interesting because it's actually 60 card sealed, so 6 packs is standard. But the first couple weeks are usually kind of trying to minimize the downsides of making a 60 card deck from 6 packs. Every loss you get, you earn a punishment pack, which can give you some extra cards to fill out and sometimes take your deck in a new direction. For Kamigawa, every single punishment pack will be from Neon Kamigawa with additionally some historic cards slotted in. I think our arena or a Discord bot, they're generating a list of kind of like supplementary cards from on theme, Kamigawa's history. Um,
And in
you know,
past
some
leagues, you were able to choose from any any standard legal pack, but now for Kamigawa, it's going to be just Kamigawa.
Yeah, so it's going to be much more on theme. The synergies are going to be key. So building your deck is going to be very, very linked to the synergies inherent in the set, rather than trying to go for straight power or maybe color fixing. Um, and some of the extra cards to kind of give things flavors are going to be cards from Magic history or that synergize kind of with Kamigawa. Full list of those we're not going to go through because I
Yeah.
think it's going to be large.
Mm-hmm. So I guess without further ado, that brings us to our first video here. It's just going to be the Signpost Uncommon. So it's the 10 cards that define the 10 archetypes of Magic of all the two color pairs. And first example here is the Azorius color pair, and it looks like it's dealing with vehicles. So the card is Prodigy's Prototype. It costs blue, white, and 1. It's an artifact vehicle, uncommon. It's a 3/4. Whenever one or more vehicles you control attack, create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 greater, and it has crew 2. So vehicles.
Cool. So a vehicle as the signpost card. Um, I think I like it. It's a 3 mana 3/4 vehicle, so it's pretty big on its own. Cruise 2 is not too much to ask. Um, it's slow, but you do start making 1/1s whenever you attack.
It's one per
Um,
turn, notably. If you attack with a couple of vehicles, it's going to be... You get one pilot.
yeah, whenever one or more vehicles you control attack. So
This
you
is...
start making crew once you're fighting.
It's a tough thing. This is a tough card to evaluate, I'd say. It's giving you a kind of creature that we haven't ever seen before. That's just good at... It's better at crewing than it is attacking. Um, that being said, on turn 4, you're swinging for a 3/4 and creating a 1/1. That 1/1, if you have another vehicle, can crew it pretty well on defense, actually. They
Yeah,
swung at this.
I think if you can get this guy off the ground and going, it might be kind of hard to stop. Or if you can do some things to make it improve it. It will depend a lot on the vehicle synergies, but I think it will be supported. Um,
From my experience,
it,
vehicles are better than they look for defense from Kaladesh, in my opinion, from my memory, because they're really beefy blockers, and it doesn't take much for them to just be that beefy blocker on your opponent's turn after you play one.
yeah, if there's any like counter synergies or whatever, you can put counters on it or modify this or whatever. It'll get better because artifacts are uh, harder to interact generally than creatures are.
We'll see modify soon. I think that's the Gruul color pair. What they're
Um,
doing.
I
How
think
do we rate this?
I think it's gonna be like a C plus ish card.
You don't want to put too
Obviously,
many vehicles in your deck. That's like generally a bad thing because you want to be able to crew them. It's like hard to make
yeah,
a deck around vehicles, basically.
yeah. So I don't think you can just jam a whole bunch of these in there because you will need some support. Once you have a creature to crew it,
Mm-hmm.
you're off to the races because you can just keep doing it, but you don't get any much benefit beyond that.
Now it's
Um,
really historically out of the one set review we did, Crimson Vow, I can tell it's very easy to undervalue or overvalue all of these signposts and commons because it's heavily influenced by how good that color pair is going to be. Which overall we don't know yet. If Azorius is really good, this is probably going to be better. If Azorius is really bad, this is going to be worse, I'd say. But I
yeah,
think I'm with you on C plus.
it's not hard to make this a good defensive thing, which might actually be a 3/4 blocker on turn 3 is pretty good.
It might be a
C plus
slower
for me,
set.
I think.
It might be a slower set with a lot of vehicles running around, but it could also be, well, there's some good aggro cards we'll see also. But I think I'm on C plus with you for Prodigy's prototype.
All right, next up, oh, one of my favorite archetypes, and I think it's going to be real strong in the set. This is Silver Fur Master. It's blue and a black. This is the Demir Signpost Uncommon. It's a 2/2 Rat Ninja. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. It
Awesome.
has Ninjutsu, which is a returning mechanic from the original Kamigawa or one of the blocks with it,
Yeah.
and one of the set mechanics. So this mechanic is when you make attacks, if you have an unblocked attacker, you can pay the ninjutsu cost to return the attacker you have that's unblocked to your hand, and then you put this card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So often these ninjas have combat damage triggers or synergies that go in with like kind of skulking out and doing some stuff when they're unblocked. So combat math and things are going to be kind of interesting. For this guy in particular, once he's on the battlefield, ninjutsu abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate, um, and other ninja and rogue creatures you control get +1/+1.
So this is kind of an overview of ninjutsu, but this is actually a bad example of what ninjutsu usually does. Because ninjutsu cost is usually less than the cost of the creature, and you're thinking, why would I pay the same amount? I'm gonna return something in my hand, and then I'm gonna put this in. It doesn't even do extra damage. But that static ability of other ninjas and rogues, I think that's the idea here. It
Mm-hmm.
can kind of work like a combat trick where you're buffing other stuff on the board if you put this onto the field, as well as I think if this is on the board and attacking by itself, you can ninjutsu some like a 4-drop that has a ninjutsu for 3 mana. This this can accelerate that coming out, so it kind of works on the board as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it really helps you. Like, if you had two things in your hand, if you had a ninjutsu like this and something else for like 4, you could
Blue up.
certainly like put this in first,
Yeah,
um,
it could.
and then also put that in. You
Yeah, you
can
can
replace
ninjutsu two
himself.
things. It's unlikely that you're
Like,
gonna have two things attacking and two ninjutsus in your hand, but yeah, it's the thing.
yeah, you can incidentally you can chain them, so you could put the ninjutsu, the Silver Fur Master out, replace it with something else. Not really like
No,
things you technically often want to
that,
do, but you certainly can. Um, Ninjutsu has a lot of interesting mechanical abilities. I'm not going to delve into them now, but do
but as
some
you
looking
said, most
because
of the time they are actually when this creature damages face, something happens. This one not in particular, but that's often what we'll see for ninjutsu.
yeah, I like this card grade wise.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's I like the buffing ability of it more than anything, and the fact that it can come down instantly. If you have like 3 things attacking and they have 2 blockers, that's gonna be best there. If your things are rats or ninjas, you work it as a
Yeah,
combat trick. I don't think I'm not blown away by this card. It's not like wow, I have to get my hands on this. You need a you're getting your 2 mana 2/2 in. You might be returning a 3/3 if you really want to bring this in for ninjutsu. I'm not blown away to be honest.
I think a 2 mana Lord that has a relevant creature type. I'm just giving a B minus, and the ability to kind of like combat tricky in. I'm not really going to count that very high, but um, I think it's
Yeah,
got two things. It's got like a Lord effect, and it cheapens your own abilities that you have in your deck. So I think it's just going to be super synergistic. So I'm going to go with at least a B minus, maybe even a B,
the B
just because I
minus
think it's fun.
part, I see it. Yeah, if you have all ninjas and rogues, which blue and black, I suppose I guess we'll see. That's good. If you don't have ninjas and rogues, I'm way less happy to have this, obviously. But I suppose since this is just a blue black 2-drop, you're gonna be in blue black if you're playing this. I think I'm good with B minus. I'm not blown away outside of the Lord effect actually. Although you can run away with the one cost reduction, you can run away with some unfair like cheating in something that's not supposed to be on the board
Yeah, I
relative to
mean,
5.
if you have like uh if you have this and something ninjutsu 4 mana, um, I mean you can play. I mean you get mana savings on it. You put this in first. You have to have two unblocked creatures, but I think blue black has evasion to do that. So
We're
we'll see.
gonna have some crazy like different play I think because of ninjutsu existing where you're making blocks that you normally don't want to make for the fact that
Yeah,
ninjutsu. So I guess ninjutsu, that's what I'll add. Is just it's gonna create some blocks that you wouldn't normally see in game.
yeah. Defensive creatures are going to be pretty important. It's gonna be like trading strikes, basically getting in where you can. You can't just turn things sideways and hope to win.
Yeah. So those rat ninjas, watch out. Next we have the Rakdos Oni Cult Anvil. It's the Rakdos Signpost uncommon. It costs just 1 black, 1 red, and it's an artifact. Whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once per turn. It has the ability tap, sacrifice an artifact. Oni Cult Anvil deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain a life. Have you played with this yet? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm thinking though, like this kind of card always makes me think of like really silly combos that you could do. Um,
Familiar? The witch is familiar? What's it called? Cauldron? I can't remember the
Cauldron
name.
Familiar.
Uh,
So our second artifact, uh, as a signpost, interestingly, it doesn't do much on its own, um, but it can trigger more than once per turn. And it can, if you have one artifact and you can make a colorless construct, you can keep every turn. You could just basically sacrifice it.
You're saying every turn you can? Oh yeah, you can just keep
Yeah,
dealing
because if you
itself.
sacrifice it, you will also get a 1/1 back.
Use itself. You can sack it to itself at the very, very worst. It's a 2-mana 1/1 thing and drain. That's at the very worst.
Yeah,
It's only on your
drain.
turn. Actually, you only get the 1/1 if you do it on your turn. That's something that's going to be misplayed, I think, sometimes with
Yeah,
this card. Good thing there's no blood and food and clue tokens in this set, because that would be really easy to get all these artifact synergies, I think.
I don't know how much sacrifice is in the set, but this could, I think, turn into an engine. It's definitely more of a build around, I think. Like, how many of these are you gonna? I mean, I guess if you put a lot of them in your deck, you can each, like if you have 3 or 4 and you get a bunch of them out of there, you've spent a lot of time doing it, but you're just draining a lot. Don't know if that would work.
I think it's probably a pretty good card. Um, the fact that you only get a 1/1 on your turn is turning me off a little bit of it, but at its very base, it seems pretty good. It's hard to
Yeah,
rate
I
this.
I think there may be some ways to go nuts with this, but I think just as a base, maybe like a C, it's definitely going to get a build around increase. So like if there's ways to get artifacts out or recur artifacts, which I think there are in the set.
Wow, get
Um,
2 of these actually. If you get 2 of these, can't you just do it on your own thing constantly? That makes it. The second one gets a lot of value actually, I think.
if you had 2 on the battlefield, you tap one, sack an artifact,
And
you would get 2 1/1s, and
you use the other one of these to kill that 1/1 and
that
drain
one. So
again.
you could end net with 3 things, deal 2, gain 2, basically.
I don't know if there's any things that pump out artifacts consistently. Else, I guess we'll see. But just 2 of these is a win
Yeah,
for me.
if you manage to stack a bunch of these on at the battlefield at the same time, like you can have a net lots of tokens, but that's a lot of effort and that's a lot of work.
That's fun. I think also I would probably give it something like C outside of an artifact heavy deck, but I think it's like could be very well B, or I would probably give it a B inside an artifact deck.
Yeah, I think building around you
Sacrificeable
could.
artifact deck, I should say.
Yeah, this one's gonna be one to watch to see if there's any like special decks springing up around it.
Also, yeah, and threaten. I think there's a threaten saga, like a threaten effect saga, but it's like 5 mana, so
Yeah.
it's harder to make that work when it's 5 mana, but still something to pay attention to when we have free sack
Um,
outlets.
nice. I'm gonna have to grab one of these to pair up with my Sulphurous Springs
Yeah.
card. So this is Invigorating Hot Spring. It's 1 red and a green. The Rural Signpost uncommon. It's an enchantment at uncommon. It says when Invigorating Hot Spring enters the battlefield, it enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it. Cool. Modified creatures you control have haste. Um, Modified is one of the set mechanics. Modified basically says uh, anything that you control that has an aura that you've placed on it, or has an equipment attached to it, or has any counter of any type put on it, count as modified. Not auras from other players, interestingly enough. Um,
Oh yeah.
Next
You're
text says,
pacified. You
yeah,
pacified
passive
creatures.
doesn't count as modified. If you remove a +1/+1 counter from Invigorating Hot Spring, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Activate only as a source sorcery and only once each turn.
So you can't use it
Um,
as a combat trick, basically. It's got to be
Not a combat.
I find they're doing only sorcery speed stuff more. I think that might, from a design perspective, maybe they think that's like a simpler way to do it. But in the last couple sets, it's been only sorcery speed for a lot more things than I'm used to. Just something I noted.
How much worse? This is a lot worse than Rhythm of the Wild.
Um,
right?
Rhythm of the Wild. That was a good card. That's like a hidden rare Rhythm of the Wild, but I know it was uncommon. How much can you make use of modified? You can't sleep on modified creatures you control have haste. You put this on 3, your 4-drop has haste and it's bigger. That's pretty big. And so does your 5-drop, and so does your 6-drop. That's if you have no
I,
other way to modify,
I,
which
I
there's plenty.
guess I guess for the first couple, for 4 creatures, it's better than Rhythm of the Wild, but only once each turn. So like, if you're just curving out, it's probably better than Rhythm because you're play a thing, you get a counter, and you get haste. Whereas Rhythm of the Wild just gave you Riot, so you chose counter or um
Yeah. I don't know if I. Well, I mean, it's definitely comparable to Rhythm of the Wild, but it just actually seems strong to me because of all the ways you can modify your creature. That's not going to be this card itself, and then it
yeah.
sticks
If you
around
have
giving haste to everything after that.
cheap equipment, really makes this good. Like an equip 1 cost thing in your deck, just also reads has haste.
Yeah, there's no shortage of ways to modify your creatures, so that means like you're taking turn 3 off. That's a big thing, but not really because you can affect the board by giving your 2-drop a 1/1 counter. It's still affecting the board.
Yeah, you can bump something up.
And
Think
if it's
about
that could be
this on
like a
top
samurai that
there.
has a buff if it attacks alone. I want to give this pretty high grade. I think you don't need
Yeah,
to work around it to make it what it's gonna be. You don't have to have too much.
yeah. I think it's going to be quick enough accelerating you that the like 4 counter things is not going to matter. And then if you can find something to like bounce it or
I'm
you
not too
know,
worried about the 1/1 counters running out of 4 creatures and getting the tempo that it gives, and giving them all haste is usually enough
yeah,
to do its
yeah. If
thing.
you
And
run out of counters, you're probably quite far ahead.
yeah, yeah, I'm not worried about that. You can do that once each turn. Okay, you can't actually do it twice. I was thinking like, um,
I'm thinking B minus to B, something around there.
I think it's. I was thinking B to B plus, but B. I think
I
B
might
sounds
give
right. I think B
Yeah,
sounds
I think B just because you are kind of taking a little half step off, but
right. Girl usually cares about those 4 drops, and they make a 3-drop better. You don't need to. Yeah, you can ramp. They like ramping. They don't need to necessarily aggro out. They just have those beefy creatures often.
yeah, I mean with ninjutsu around though, I mean having like sometimes any turn off might get you behind. So it'll be interesting to see.
There's no stopping you from putting a counter on something and then with the rest of your mana on a turn playing another creature and equipping it,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Mm-hmm.
2-drop and equip it with something. Suddenly you have like, I don't know. Hypothetically, you can get a whole lot out of this. I like it, and yeah. The next card we have is the Seleznia Jukai Naturalist. It costs green white. It's a 2/2 human monk and is an enchantment creature. It's got lifelink, and the passive ability enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. What do you think this has to do with? What's the synergy with Selesnya?
Selesnya enchantments? Was that a thing in any previous sets? I can't remember.
Calyx. I remember
Oh,
Calyx.
like all of them. Oh yeah, yeah.
Was
So
Calyx Theros? This has sagas and enchantment creatures, just like Theros. It's like Theros
it
2.0.
has enchantment creatures. It has sagas that turn into creatures. And I
Flip
think
into
this
creatures.
card thus makes. I think it's going to be easy to fill your deck up with this stuff. It's a 2 mana 2/2 lifelink at the baseline, but like cheapens everything else you're casting or lots of stuff else. I think this is good. Definitely B plus or B plus range. I think.
Let me. I know there's some enchantment enters the battlefield triggers. That's a smaller upside to this card. I like the fact that it ramps your enchantment spells, quote unquote, because there's a whole lot of them. You can have a handful of like 4 enchantments once this hits the battlefield on turn 2, and then that just seems really good. Um, yeah, and the sagas are enchantments. Those coming. This set is gonna. We didn't get to sagas yet, but the set's gonna have a weird tempo thing going on because you play creatures that only become creatures 2 turns later. And I don't know how that's going to affect the game, but yeah, this will get your Saga down a turn earlier, meaning it turns into a creature a turn earlier. I think I want to give it. I think I want to give it B. It really depends on how good this color pair is. Like all the signposts on commons, we don't know yet. Like I don't want this if Jukai is Jukai. If Seleznia is just junk color pair, I don't really want one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think though that it's not like. I mean, I think this is kind of better in a mana dork if there's a lot of support for it because you play a land, and all of a sudden you're potentially at 5 mana if you have 2 more enchantments. You're just knocking one off of every single spell rather than just like adding one to your mana pool. So that reason I'm going to give B plus.
Yeah, I think I'll stay on B, but it is actually easy to get a lot of enchantment creatures in this set because I've taken a bit of a look and a whole lot of things. Even more in the artifacts, there's a whole lot of enchantments and enchantment creatures.
Yeah, goes down a little bit. This card's late. Top deck isn't great, but
Yeah, lifelink is you can't ever speak too highly of lifelink usually.
yeah, lifelink's always great.
All right, so our Orzhov card.
Oh, all right, Orzhov. So Naomi, Pillar of Order, is 3 white and black for a legendary creature human advisor. It's a 4/4 uncommon. Whenever Naomi, Pillar of Order, enters the battlefield or attacks, if you control an artifact and an enchantment, create a 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance.
All right, so the
Huh.
Orzhov color pair is going to be controlling artifact and enchantment at once, and we know you'll see the Izzet color pair is a lot about artifacts, and the Seleznia color pair is a lot about enchantments, and there must be artifacts in black white too that I'm not thinking of, but there's going to be a whole lot of vehicles and stuff in every color. Yeah, so you need to have those things to get more than your 5 mana 4/4.
Hmm.
I'm not incredibly impressed, to be honest. You need to work for more than a 5 mana 4/4. I know when it attacks, you still get 2/2 vigilances.
And you have an ETB trigger.
Yeah, if you have the thing going on, artifact and enchantment. I feel like I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be as strong as the one we've seen.
Yeah, it might be suffer from too much diffusion. So I think the thing that's important in this set is that a lot of enchantments and a lot of artifacts are floating around. There's a lot of artifact creatures, a lot of things that have reconfigure, which is one of the set mechanics we'll hit later. But those are artifact creatures, or straight up artifact creatures. There's sagas that turn into enchantment creatures. There's
Yeah.
straight up enchantment creatures. Um,
How badly do
but
you
if
want to put artifacts in your deck just because you've got one of these?
Well, I mean, if they're artifact creatures, I might be okay with it.
Yeah, you gotta have
Um,
drafted them and want to put them in your deck, and to justify getting a 2/2 out of this now and then.
yeah,
Um,
I don't think it will be hard to get artifacts or enchantments that you want to play, but are you decreasing the other synergies because you have enchantments and artifacts?
yeah, you gotta also draw them, play them, hope they survive, and then play this. I know I'm gonna be in a situation if I play this. It's turn 5. I have 5 mana down. I have an enchantment on the field, but I have an artifact in my hand, and I'm like, I don't want to play my Naomi before playing the artifact. Fine, I'll just play the 5 mana 4/4.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so I think when you're asking two things, it's always a little bit more tough, right? You're gonna put what, 6 enchantments in your decks plus 6 artifacts plus all, like you're trying to get some correct ratio to get some value out of um this creature.
Black White's gonna have them, but I'm skeptical about how. Yeah, for the reasons we just said. I think I'm probably like C on this. It has a
Yeah, I
high
think
enough upside, but it's not that high, even if you get it going.
yeah, certainly I think it can potentially run away with things if you can do it consistently, but it's a lot of upfront
You know,
cost.
I'm gonna give it. Yeah, C is right. I was gonna say C minus, but it's like common range level, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
What did you give it?
C.
Alright. And the next thing we have is Enthusiastic Mechanaut. It's the Is It card. It's 1 blue, 1 red. Artifact creature, Goblin Artificer, and it's a 2/2 flyer. And a lot like the Seleznia card, it says artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So it's like the Seleznia one with a different keyword and cheapens another thing.
I mean, it's a goblin with a jetpack, a 2-mana 2/2 flyer that also makes your artifacts cost 1 less to cast. And there's artifact creatures in the set.
I like the flavor text too. Greetings, fellow. Tempted to smile too. Dismay, greeting is met with
I
shrieks
love
and
that.
alarms being activated.
Yeah,
So what do you think? I think it's a
this
lot
thing
like the
I
other
like
one.
highly.
I think it's a lot like the other one. Flying is a better ability for the most part, probably. Especially since there are blue ninjutsu things running around. You can get in, it's evasive. But the artifact spells cost less is probably worse because you're cheapening your vehicle sometimes, and I don't know. We'd have to look at all the artifacts, but I feel like Enchantment's better, especially with all these sagas. So it's
There's a lot of enchantment or artifact creatures, I think. Like legit like comes down as a creature, not just as a vehicle.
okay. That would make this better. Your 4-drop becomes a 3-drop, etc.
Yeah, and the same for enchantments. So those are potentially like dump your hand in a dump your hand of actual creatures on the board pumps.
But I think this is probably on par with the other Selesnya one, and we gave that a B. I
Yeah,
think I gave
I
that a
think this
B.
is
I think you gave B plus.
a little bit better since I mean it just attacks in the air no matter what.
Yeah, with ninjutsu, as I said, unblock ninjutsu, you throw in your extra value. I think I'd probably give this B plus actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I changed for the other one, but I think B plus is where this one lives too.
Um, what else? Oh yeah, it's weird to see Is It not be a spells matter thing. To be honest, I'm happy
They're
for
back
it.
on the artificer theme.
Yeah, artificers. Right now we have the Gloom Shrieker.
All right, Gloom Shrieker. This is 1 green and black. 1 green and black for a 2/1 enchantment creature, Cat Beast. So now Lyris has a friend.
Yeah.
And uncommon, it has Menace. And when Gloom Shrieker enters the battlefield, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If Gloom Shrieker would die, exile it instead.
Some awesome
Beautiful
art.
art in this card.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. Awesome art. It's like it's a line with a snake tail or a serpent tail. It seems. Yeah, this is a 2-for-1 almost every time you play this card. Not 2-for-1. Well, you play this card, you get a card back. It's evasive, enchantment, triggers, etc.
Has a pretty good keyword on it.
Yeah. The keyword that gets better if it gets modified. So green has some of that. I guess black. I don't know what black green's doing. Returning stuff from your graveyard to your hand. I guess that's something we've seen before. It's kind of just what the color pair fell into. I don't think they designed around it.
Yeah,
Solid.
not too unhappy with the 3-mana 2/1 Menace. It's a little bit light in the toughness zone, but
Well, I
you
mean,
generally get the card back. It's not hard.
it has to be a permanent. It's not so hard, no. I know there's channel. There's a bunch of there's a bunch of channel cards which go into the
Mhm.
graveyard. We didn't go through that mechanic yet. That's one way we can get something into our hand that was in the graveyard artificially. It's not like you play this and you win or anything. It's not gonna approach A level, but I think it's solid. I'd probably give it B.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in the C plus, B minus range. It's kind of always getting you the card. I think it's going to be hard to not. You're saying
I,
B?
I think B. I was thinking B minus. B or B minus. Let's just stick with B. I think
Yeah, this thing can't be looped though. Interestingly enough, like lots of there's
can't.
not many. Most of this mechanic, I think, like you know, I guess they're costing more, like the Golgari Find Broker. Those cards
Yeah,
are
that
not.
costs 4. I think.
But you could loop those guys together.
Yeah. maybe I'm B minus on this. I'm just trying. It's not amazing. Yeah, not amazing. It's just good value, good solid card for that color pair. Once again, I
Is
don't
it
really know
intended?
what the color pair is doing outside of get your things out of your graveyard, so it's hard to evaluate it for that reason.
Yeah, pretty reasonably good card though.
Alright, so next for Boros we have Asari Captain. It costs 3 red whites. It is a human samurai, which is relevant. Has haste, and whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each samurai or warrior you control. It is a 4/3, and the flavor text is go, show them your flurry.
5 mana 4/3 haste, which is fine. So I guess
At the very
samurais and
worst,
warriors.
yeah.
Yeah, samurais and warriors. Well, I guess it attacks. It can attack as a 5/3. So it
Obviously you want
counts as
this to
well.
be the thing attacking alone, I guess, since it's a 5 mana haster.
Yeah. A first strike would be kind of nice, but probably too much to ask for. I've never really, there's a lot of these like attacks alone synergies. I've never been super high up on them.
Well, as this is a signpost on common card, that's what this color pair is trying to do. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that in white and red. These triggers for attacking alone. So I guess we haven't seen any card that has what's it called, the equip on creatures that can equip. I forget what the
Reconfigure.
reconfigure. I'm thinking it reconfigure works well with this mechanic of attacking alone, because you want to go all in on one creature usually when you're attacking alone with it, and that's where reconfigure comes in, because you can buff up that creature and attack, and when that dies you can actually reconfigure onto another creature. So it's kind of attacking by itself, things attacking by themselves. That's what this caliper is trying to do. This particular card though, it's kind of just a beefy, could be 6/3, 7/3, 8/3 attacking alone. This is a curve
Yeah.
popper.
I mean maybe it's a C plus.
It's yeah, for an aggro deck that's trying to get you dead, 5 drops are not going to be like, oh, I need to have that in my deck. Usually you're getting them killed with 2 drops, 3 drops. So even if this color pair is really good, I don't see this being like a must-have in that color pair. But that being said, this buffs other things. We should actually point that out, that this buffs other things. This is on the
But
field. It's gonna buff the one thing attacking alone, no matter whatever that is. It could be a first striker, which makes this
yeah,
pretty cool.
but then it kind of makes the haste kind of,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's the
kind of awkward.
non-bow. That's the non-bow of it. This could be on the field for 5 turns though, and still buffing the first striker. I mean, not likely, but there's going to be a lot of passive abilities that talk about samurai or warrior
Yeah,
attacking alone.
if you have some passive abilities, it kind of makes it nice.
Yeah, so it's probably, in my books, it's probably like C plus. Yeah, you're gonna want it more if you're doing the thing, but it's not like a must-have in an aggressive deck. No, not a 5-drop.
Yeah.
And our last signpost uncommon here.
All right, this is a Colossal Sky Turtle, which is 4 green, green, and blue for a enchantment creature, turtle at uncommon. Yeah, it's 6/5. It has flying and ward 2. um, also has channel, and this is our first instance of the channel ability. That is an activated ability of a card, not a cast. That has you can activate this ability, pay the cost, and you get some sort of effect based on its channel ability. This one has 2 channel abilities. Has 2 in a green. Discard Colossal Sky Turtle. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Or channel 1 in a blue. Discard Colossal Sky Turtle. Return target creature to its owner's hand.
So 7-drop, usually not the greatest to fill your deck with, but that's where channel comes in. I guess Simic is doing channel stuff by the looks of it.
Probably.
Doesn't have trample. I'm gonna think it has trample because of that stat line, but
But it's
the
a
fact,
flying ward too.
yeah, it's something that has to be dealt with, no doubt. The fact that the green part says return a card to your hand from the graveyard means other channeled stuff can come to your hand. That's kind of a cool thing about this. But when you're late in the game, maybe you're gonna want to be playing this. So I think the blue part's gonna be used more than the green part.
I think it's kind of a card that has like a low opportunity cost to include in your deck. Like when I looked at the stat line, I'm like, wow, 7 for some big turtle, but you essentially get like a regrowth target. Is that regrowth or is that retrieve?
Uh,
Would
a regrowth, I
so
think.
it brings back any card, which could be good, like
Yeah.
instant
Um,
or you get a bounce.
yeah, it saves a card or a good tempo. The ward too. I just realized when there's 7/9 on the field, probably the opponent could probably pay their 2 for the ward. That's one thing to take into
Yeah,
account. But this is a good card that I would love to include in my deck because of the low opportunity cost. If you're struggling for mana and you can't and you're nowhere close to the 7, you can still use this as a spell that does something.
yeah. I suspect this set is going to be maybe a little bit slower too, with a lot of like sagas and stuff running around.
If you think of Alchemist Retrieval, the cleave card from the last set, I think that's what it was called. Bounce your thing for 1 blue mana, or the alternate cost is this channel ability for 1 in the blue. That's good when you attach that to a 6/5 flying ward too. In other cases, that's a good card. I
Yeah,
would probably give this B.
yeah. I think B minus. I mean, I think you're sort of adding like the Alchemist Gambit is like an okay card, and you would play it if you had synergies for it. Um, and the same thing with the green kind of side. You would play it if you had synergies for it. Would you play just a 7 mana flying 6/6, 6/5? Maybe not, but like you have a bunch of options with this, which makes it good. So I'm gonna go B minus, but I think it's all these things combined into you just have a lot of options to do.
Well, this is it's always going in your. It's definitely a B range because it's always going in your Simic deck. I think
Hmm.
if you have it, doesn't you never need to cut it. It's good at various points.
Yeah, interestingly enough, you could just play this I mean, you can play this in any monocolor deck right, you don't have to splash it. Like
Yeah,
you could
true.
play this in green block.
You have kind of crappy two different crappy cards on it.
Yeah, because you can just, like if you need a last card, and especially in like sealed league, like this can be a blue card, this can be a green card that were actually printed as cards before.
It's an
So
enchantment creature turtle too, so enchantments matter. Could be something.
yeah.
So that's all for our signpost on commons. We'll be back with our review of the white cards.